that's the wraps on today's video, which you're seeing the beginning of first. You're seeing the end of the day first, if that makes any sense. I ended up, after me and Dad left here, you'll see in the video, we went and bucked up some water oak we drug out the other day, some of that blocking stuff, get it ready to load out. Then I went and seen one of my buddies there in Rockville, and it was just eating at me, so I come back out here and drug logs. And you'll see here, these things aren't cutting as good as I had hoped. Bad spot there. And this was the heartbreaker. This is the first tree I cut this morning. You'll see in the video. Bad spot there, which that doesn't go very far, luckily. But some good trees. Other than that, you know, they've got some size to them. Some real good sized trees. I don't know what we've got here. That's another brute. Got a good, it's like maybe a 9-foot slicer in it. Bunch of lumber above. Let's see, seven here, and I think 26 on the other side. So not a bad day of cutting walnut. We only cut till, I think we cut right there till about 11:30 when we stopped cutting this. Went back over to the other job and bucked up that water oak and stuff. Then, like I said, I come back and started dragging logs. It's just now well after 5 o'clock, so it's not like it's a late day or anything, but it was just too nice of a day not to spend it out here doing what I love. Just try to make some leeway on this. Now, tomorrow we'll be back up here, and we've got, I think, 3 trees left on this side of the creek where the skidder and the trailer sitting where I'm parked right now. Then everything else is on the east side of the creek there. And there's actually some below us here, below the road, right here on this place joins it. Or it's the same place, should I say, so it joins it, same place. Same piece of ground, same farm, just the road separates it. Anyway, tomorrow, starting out, we've got a big one down there. We've got a winch over because it's grown into an ash tree. And Dad cut it and it wouldn't fall. And actually, a bit ago, I tried pushing it with a pusher just to try to free it loose, and that wouldn't work. So we're going to have to see what it's going to take to get that thing down. It's too dangerous to try to cut the ash. And the walnut being there too, it's like I said, they've grown into each other, and it's a mess, so it should be pretty exciting. I think that's about it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed today's videos. I think it's a little longer than the previous videos. Look at that harvester design. I've been getting pretty bad about wearing logger thread shirts to work here lately. I can't help it. They're a little more comfortable than my regular work shirts, so I tend to wear them. But guys, thanks for hanging out. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Check us out on all of our social outlets. Turner Logging LLC at Instagram, Facebook, right here on YouTube. Next weekend is Ohio Paul Bunyan show. It is still kind of a toss-up right now what we're doing there. It's still kind of a toss-up. It's up in the air. Don't know if we're going, don't know if we're staying. It's just, I don't know yet. I've been on the phone, off and on, texting the last 2 days, trying to get things figured out about what we're going to do. I'd like to go out there. I really had a good time last year. I'd like to go out there with logger threads this year. Just like to see it all, but this is a bad time of the year for us to try to go anywhere because this is right when walnut's getting busy for us. So anyway, guys, thanks a lot. We'll see you tomorrow. Nothing beats the excitement of the first day of a new job. I couldn't even hardly sleep last night just thinking about coming out here and cutting trees today. True story. We got here. I doubt it will even fire up the skidder today. The skidder's up there on top of the hill where I parked my truck and Dad's truck. Of course, we're in Dad's Ranger. I think today we're just going to do some cutting. Try to get a bunch of these on the ground. I'll have to bring the skid steer over here too and use the grapple because we'll cut these tops up and I'll pile these tree tops up for burning to keep them out of this field. Give them a little more hay ground out here. We'll get these trees gone, but good sized trees, good sized walnut trees. We're going to cut this pallet material too. It's some real good sycamore there. This is a dandy tree here. Just overall excited to be out here. Happy to be out here and cut some trees. Back in this good stuff here. Of course, it makes a difference. Little tree there. It needs to be cut. Lightning's got it on that one prong. Let's see, Dad. I think he should be about done boring into it. He should be clipping spurs now. Maybe not. Either way, I'm going to fire up my saw. It's wet. There's a heavy dew this morning. It was cool. Had 40 degrees when I got up this morning. Got up a little after 5. Went and had coffee. Get this show started. We got a pretty good stretch of creek here to run up. several walnuts. Should be about 60 trees on this job, I believe, if I remember correctly. Somewhere in that ballpark. And like I said, some of this blocking stuff shouldn't be too much of the blocking or pallet, maybe 10,000 feet, but hey, that's not too bad. We'll take that. Especially when they're in good big trees like that sycamore there. I was kind of waiting to see this tree come down before I fired up my saw and went to cutting. Well, you're just going to have to wait because the anticipation's getting the best of me. We're going to bring this guy down right now. Well, Dad got his down. This isn't a good way to start the day. Look at that. I knew as soon as I stuck my saw in it, bored out, I felt it just go soft. I knew it was going to be bad. I hate that. That was a heck of a tree standing. Been there too long. Been there too long. Just like the logger thread shirt says, log it or lose it. And it's well past the time it should have been harvested, and honestly, I wouldn't have thought that. Usually down here in these little bottoms like this, that's not a problem we usually run into with these walnut. And when we do, there's usually several telltale signs on them. This guy here wasn't reading any kind of signs at all being bad. Just a good, healthy looking tree. But it's the way it goes. Still not a bad lumber log, just knocks it down out of that high dollar category. Work on this guy here next. Dad got that thing down. The top so big, we'll have to probably move it around the skidder so we can work it up. He's working on that next one now. I'm gonna work on this mess. Kind of a triple tree. They can be tricky to cut sometimes. There's a lot of sawing that goes into it. Basically, I'll bore into it, the bottom there, and I'll just cut those prongs off one by one. So a lot of sawing involved, but it's not too bad. Pretty good sized tree, that one there in the middle. Except this whole thing here's been hit by lightning, but it's still got some lumber in it. Needs to come down anyway. Just gonna kind of watch Dad to get this one here down. Surely he's not hung up. Sounds like he might be. Nope, there he goes. Now that's the thing with bore cutting these walnut. We bore cut all these things. And it takes a little more time to cut them whenever you bore cut, other than to just face cut or notch and hinge them. But this bore cutting, it's a little more time consuming, but when you're dealing with high dollar wood, you want to take all the proper steps to ensure it comes down without accident. And that's why we bore cut, because this walnut will bust easy. It will come apart easy. I see guys hinge this stuff and it just makes me cringe. It absolutely makes me cringe when I see guys hinging walnut. And, you know, there's parts of the country where people don't have a lot of walnut, and that's how they cut their timber anyways, a notch and a hinge. And that, I mean, I'm not knocking you by any means, but you take companies like us here in the Midwest where we handle a lot of walnut, man, all that stuff, it's got to be cut good, cut right. They don't want to see that fiber pull on those good stumps. It needs to be clean. So see, look at that, straight. But it's like I said, we bore cut that. I bore all that inside out. And these are what control my fall, hold the tree. These, I don't know, we call them ears, spurs. We called a lot of things, but that's how we control the fall. And she's about to come. There she goes. Nice and easy. Here's a pretty good one. Got a good cut on it. Cut my spurs off that held. Little brush hog over this. Dad's working on this side of the grove over here. It's a nice little grove back here, kind of in the back side of this place. We come on the east side of the creek after we cut everything on the west side. We got all but two, and one of them we've got to put the cable on, and the other one we've actually got to use a tree pusher. Dad's about to bring that one down. Pretty good tree there too. And one of these back here, there's been a few of these things cutting bad. I think we've cut 3 trees that have cut bad, which, I mean, I worry a lot. I do. I mean, I try to always take these factors in consideration when I'm buying timber. But honestly, I really didn't think that any of these would cut too bad. Nothing. I mean, there's a few that's got lightning scars so bad we're not going to cut them. I'll pan over here and show you one here in just a second, as soon as Dad brings this guy down. But yeah, I didn't think. Usually trees that grow in this kind of type of terrain, they usually cut pretty good. And if they're going to cut bad, they've got the signs to tell you. But you just never know sometimes, and that's how I always try to explain to my clients, potential clients, that hey, I mean, I like to think I know trees pretty good, but I'm wrong sometimes. I really am. And you know what? After so many years of doing this, you kind of you get to know what to look for, kind of the signs, and sometimes the signs ain't there and things still go bad. What Dad's doing here? We're gonna pan over here, but yeah, this one over here, I mean, you can see this lightning scar in it, kind of, maybe not through that treetop there. There you go. I mean, trees like that, we know they're going to cut bad. But some of these here, but this whole thing here, it cut real good. That was good because it's one of the better trees on the place. You always want to see your veneer cut good. We'll get this whole top worked up. Eventually we'll bring the skid steer with the grapple and we'll pile all these tops up. We'll make a burn pile and keep all this nice and clean. That way you won't even know we were here. These stumps, we'll keep them just as flush to the ground as we absolutely can. So hopefully they'll be able to come through here and brush hog and take care of things like we were never even here. We've made pretty short work of this little grove here. There goes one there, Dad. I finished up my side of cutting. I've been helping Dad top. I'm bringing the Ranger around now. Like I said, we'll bring the skid steer down here and we'll make this look real good when we're done doing the cleanup. This will look like a city park. Now we just got them laying every which way through here. See if I can squeeze through here. I think that was the last one. The one Dad just cut there, the one he's topping. That one's standing over there. We're going to take the wedge to it and bring it back this way, the hammer and wedge. I try to do a lot of directional falling. Of course, bore cutting, you do what you can, but I tried to cut my spurs off. That way, when they go to fall, it kind of makes them want to go back that way a little bit more. You can kind of finagle around where you cut and how you cut. And don't get me wrong, it's not an exact science, but sometimes I can make it work with the bore cut, sometimes I can't. Here's a real good tree here. Good color, good sap line. Tall, good stuff. Well, I lied to you. I'm not going to use the hammer and wedge on that tree because the hammer and wedge ain't in the Ranger. I was just talking to Dad about it. He's got one more. He said he had half of it cut. The one I pulled next to. I was going to go hammer that other one on down. He said that's why he didn't bring it down, because he left the hammer and wedge by a big water oak yesterday. Just make a circle here. It's a shame that one bust when it hit on that crotch there, but luckily there was a little short piece of lumber there, about 9 feet. It ruined it, which I hate for anything to get ruined, but it happens sometimes, especially when you got a crotch in a tree. They land on that crotch, it's bad news. That's why a lot of times on our high dollar trees, we'll get up in them, we'll cut into those crotches or take the crotches out completely before we cut them. This here is probably the biggest tree on the job, what Dad's getting ready to cut here. We're probably getting ready to go in and eat lunch, but I brought him down and showed him this one. I want him to see this tree and want him to cut it. Dad likes cutting these big trees. He gets a lot of enjoyment out of it, and I really enjoy seeing him cut them. It's just, Don't get me wrong, I love cutting that good big timber, but I still get a big thrill out of watching my dad cut them too. I don't think I should have to back up anymore, but I'm gonna just in case. Get us out of harm's way there, I'd think. Maybe. If it didn't, we always thought it should have. Now right here below us here, right there, that's where these two creeks come together. The bigger creek's over here behind that walnut tree. And this little smaller creek over here, this is just kind of a little ditch. Or creek, I guess. But anyway, either way, the bigger creek's behind Dad. But that grove of walnut we were cutting on, it was over here on this creek. We just finished up. There's a lot that goes into cutting these big trees. See, just like right now, he's kind of feathering that on those hinges. It's rocking a lot. I get so caught up in watching him sometimes, I forget that I'm even recording her on camera. There it goes right there. Nice and easy. Right into the brush pile. Let's go have a look at it. Figure out how to... I'm still new to driving this. This is only the second or third time I've drove this Ranger. I didn't ever drive Dad's last one very much, so to me the throttle seems real touchy. It's nice though, man. I like this thing. I wish we'd have had one of these years ago. It makes me want to go buy one. I've actually been kicking it around. Get right up here where the action's at. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Real good. Real good. Water.